Alright, I'm working on my 2003 Ram 1500 here. We're going to be replacing the front shocks on here. And I've got the replacements sitting over here. And it comes compressed. It's got a strap on there. And it comes with all the pieces that we'll need. The little cups for the upper and lower, and a locking nut. And these are very important, in case you didn't already know. I mean, if you've done a lot of other work to your vehicle suspension and these are bad, it's just going to help facilitate the damage and wearing out of everything a lot sooner. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Okay, here we are with it lifted up. I broke the lug slightly loose for lifting. I'm just getting a hold of it right here on the frame. I put a jack stand there and also put one up here just as safety. We're going to go ahead and finish removing these lugs now and get the wheel off. Okay, now we got the wheel off. We can come in here and we can see the top of where this shock is going. Go ahead and spray that ahead of time. You can come in through the engine bay and look down in here and see this, and you can spray this way ahead of time, because this is going to be difficult to remove here. We're going to go ahead and get a hold of this. We're going to use a 9mm, and then we're going to get on this right here. I think this is an 18. Just to show you from the engine bay, you can look down here like below where the battery, and you can see the top of that shock down there. So you can come in here and you can spray this way ahead of time before you start this job, because this is going to be one of the more difficult things to get a hold of. Okay, I've just slipped my 18mm boxed in onto the 18mm nut right there, and I'm just holding this. You can also get this thing to where it's wedged and simply get a hold of this. This is just a 9mm, I'm sorry, on this particular 9mm hex end. You see, if you spin this around, this will come around here eventually and bump something, and you can turn the actual strut part itself. Just put it around here and see if that is going to sit there. It's easier because you take your ratchet and just turn it. And what I'm doing is I'm actually tightening, because I'm opposing the nut there. So actually with the top hex, I'm actually going in a tightening motion, but it is loosening the nut right there. And you can also, another way you can do this, and I've done it, is come up through the top with a long assortment of extensions and just kind of push that flap over a little bit and get down through here. I did it on the other side, and you could do it on this side here too. But we're just going to continue on. Like I said, this can be pretty stubborn. The other side was really stuck, and I was having to use my extended handle ratchet, but it was definitely easier just to turn the actual shock part, because it'll spin, which is the reason you have to hold this, and I'm just turning it in a tightening motion. But if you get the spray lubricant on there way ahead of time, this one's been soaking for a bit, probably about 30 minutes, then it'll go a lot easier for you. Okay, so it's going to get to a certain point where you can't even barely get a hold of it, and it'll still be attached a little bit. So let me try to turn this to loosen it. Okay, so on the other one, I could only hold this for so long, and I couldn't simply get a wrench or a ratchet on it, but it still wanted to spin a little bit. So this one's not doing that. But on the other one, I had to come down here where the pair of pliers and hold that a little bit still, because there's just a little bit left holding here, but the other The other one was way worse. It was rusted pretty bad, but this one's been soaking for a good bit, so it's making pretty easy work of it. But this is just the top part, and once we get this off of here, we'll go down under the bottom. There's that top nut. We'll be using the replacement nut. This is the top of the cup or the flat washer. The rubber part's stuck to it, but there's that. So we're going to go ahead. It's not going to go anywhere yet. We're going to have to get down onto the bottom. See, it runs down through the spring, and then we come down underneath, and we've got a couple 13 millimeters. It's here and here. These are very easy to remove. Go ahead and get our 13 millimeter on there and get those off. Okay, so here we are working on these 13s. These are a locking nut, but you should be able to use them no problem. The other one's locked back on here just fine. And I put a little bit, we'll put a little bit of medium Loctite with them as well. But this is just the first one. And then we got the other one over there we'll get. Okay, now what this is going to do is drop down off of these studs that are protruding through here. As we're removing the nut, it's going to drop down, so as we get it almost all the way off, we'll get a hand on it. And here we are getting that last one off of there. And you'll note the way that it kind of bevels or angles just slightly to go in that direction. That's the way we'll put the other one back. So we're just bringing it right down and out of there. And that is the lower cup and rubber bushing there. So we're just going to work that off of there. Okay, so just to show you the condition of these, if you push this down, so it just sits there, just absolutely doing no good. So we're going to take these over here. Okay, so this is the lower, the old one. This is the upper piece. You can see how. Now you'll note the difference in these is pretty tremendous. So we're going to be using the OEM in this case. Like, these are just made way better. Even though they're old, they're still holding, and they're better made. So we're going to be putting these back on. We'll put a little lithium grease so these slide on a little bit better, but we're just not going to use these and put these back on. They're just way beefier. So we're going to go ahead and cut the strap on our shock, and it'll extend on out, which is perfectly fine. So we have to go back in at that slight angle. It's really pretty, and this one actually doesn't even, looks like it's even angled, but anyways, we're going to first of all clean this off a little bit, and we'll slip the bottom. This is the bottom. We're going to slip it right down onto here. I'll put a little bit of lithium so it just slides on real easy, and then we'll work on getting it back up into the vehicle there. And if you look on these pieces, they're labeled too. If you get confused about what goes where, you can, if you look closely, Up there you can see that it says the upper, so this is the lower bushing, so you know you don't get confused. We're just gonna go ahead and slip this on just like this. Okay, so with that on, we got our upper piece here. Actually it goes that way, but we got our upper piece, and once we get in there we'll put that on there. We are going to use the new locking nut. I want to show you on this as well. The other one had a place for a 9mm hex. This one doesn't. Actually, you can fit a, it's just got a flat, but you can fit a 5/16 on there. Okay, and an 8mm will work as well in case you want to use that. Here's our locking nut that came with the kit. Okay, we're over here at the vehicle. We're fixing to work it up in here. So there's a slight, ever so slight angle, and you'll know if you don't angle it the right way because it won't set down flat. We're just working it right up in there, and we got to go up through the hole, up in the top of the spring. Up there, I'm just kind of feeling for it there until we get it seated, and then once it's through there we'll go ahead and just start. We've got our two of those, and we'll just get those, our locking nuts, and we'll just get them started on there just to kind of hold it for a minute. We don't have to snug them all the way down, just put them on a little ways. Okay, we're going to take our 13 and tighten these a little more. We're not going to and put a little dab of medium Loctite. We're not going to tighten them up, we're just going to kind of snug them up where it's pushing it up there for now. Okay, I just kind of snugged those down, but they're not real tight or torqued or anything. Okay, so we're up here at the top. Now, if you put this on right now, you'll notice that you're not able to get any threads on here. So I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so just come under here with some sort of jack and just get under the center of this arm, or get under here somewhere. In this case, I'm just using a block of wood. Not really totally necessary, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to lift this up. So we're just kind of under the center, and we're just going to we're going to make sure this is centered, coming through that hole there. And we got our little rubber piece. You want to keep an eye on that and kind of hold that as because you want that cup to come through there and center up in that hole. And it should, for the most part, guide itself in, but just in case, just make sure that and what we're doing is just lifting this whole knuckle up to get that in there. And now we'll be able to take our rubber piece in our cup, set it on there just like that, and then we'll go ahead and get on the top of that. This is a 19mm. You can see it's got the Teflon locking nut, and we're going to have to hold this flat here, either 5/16 or 8mm in this case. Okay, and when starting off with this, you don't have much to hold on to, but as you work that locking nut down, you'll get more. Grab a hood. So I'm using a 5/16, and we're just tightening it in a clockwise manner here. But just like with the hex on the other old one, if you're holding this to prevent this shock from turning, because it's just going to spin as you're putting this locking nut on here, and we're just going to run it down. And I don't have a special little torque crowfoot, so I'm just going to run it down and snug it down good and tight. Okay, and I just snugged it down pretty much as tight as I can get it by hand, just with this ratchet. And when you hit the bottom there, you'll know, because it won't turn anymore. It just bottoms out there at a certain point. So we're going to go ahead and get on the bottom, and we're going to torque these after we remove our jack here. Okay, I'm just snugging these under here to 20 foot-pounds. These are not very big studs, and last thing I want to do is snap one of these off. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and get our wheel back on at this point. Okay, we'll go ahead and get this lower. We'll get these torqued to 130 foot-pounds. Okay, and always make sure to torque your lug nuts in a star-shaped pattern, kind of zigzagging. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video. I imagine this is going to make a tremendous difference. They were very bad, as you could see. Hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, I invite you to subscribe, and I thank you for watching.